Hey guys, how's it digging? It's a nerdy movie guy. I know a few videos ago I mentioned how I was sick, my voice is kind of crap. It's probably the same thing again, so I apologize in advance, but I'm not letting it keep me down. I'm going to keep reviewing movies, and today I watched a hot take movie, Expendables 4. So I got the steelbook here, and if you take it out, the green slip, we got, the hard case here for the steelbook. What's cool about this copy is, I think I've showed these in the other videos, but you got Expendables 1, 2, 3, and 4 all in these sort of color-themed steelbooks, and they all have the slipcase for it as well. So this was a neat collection to have. Now, what a lot of you guys may think is if you saw Expendables 4, yeah, it's not the best one. There's a lot of weak elements that sort of didn't elevate the movie at all. But after watching it, I see that they chose a generic, sort of cliche plot twist that everyone saw coming, that's been done 100 times before, and it ended. The plot twist is undone, and everything just sort of has this happy ending. So, since this is a spoiler-filled review, if you guys didn't see it in the opening, I'm going to spoil quite a bit in this movie, because it's hard to talk about, in my opinion, this movie confidently without explaining what happened. So toward the beginning, we get sort of these really cool action shots, cool action scenes, like in each of the Expendables movies, and they sort of take a turn. So in the beginning, we see Barney is in his plane, and the movie makes you think he dies. And so, of course, this is heartbreaking. There's sort of this R.I.P. scene for him in the bar. And everyone's just sort of, they're mourning their friend that we've seen him for the past 4 Expendables movies. You can't kill Sylvester Stallone. So anyway, that sort of shifts the tone for the rest of the movie, and I think not a positive way, because he is the leader of this team, and he not only holds the cast together, but the story. He is the perfect character for these kinds of movies. So I think sidelining him for most of the movie was a weak option. I think it didn't do the movie any justice. Megan Fox, her character is sort of generic. There wasn't really some extreme dialogue with her leaning one way or the other. She was just sort of there, and she's taking over Barney's role. And now she's leader, the Expendables, which I think was sort of random. I think I saw a lot of people online hate it because, now you have a female leading these expendable groups. I don't think that's the problem. I think the problem is that they didn't choose one of the regulars to be the leader, who have stuck with this cast and movie for now 4 movies in a row. So I think maybe Gunner could have been, leader. They kind of kicked Christmas aside. He could have been leader. I think they just chose a weak option to have Megan Fox's character take over for the Expendables, because there really wasn't a reason. There was no explanation. It was random, and it just really wasn't deserved. There's a lot of characters that have stuck through this franchise for 4 movies in a row. One of them should have been leader. Regardless, that's the story we pushed forward with. And so most of this movie does take place on sort of this ship. That's where most of the movie takes place. And there's some cool action shots. So for my side of the review, I think the action and the kills and the creativity, all of that falls in line with the rest of the movies. I don't think any of that was weak. I don't think that suffered at the hands of not having Sylvester Stallone in most of the movie. But I think it just wasn't enough to win people over. I think the action was cool, but it wasn't enough. And so we were on the ship for most of the movie. And Christmas, of course, he joins in. He sent his girlfriend this knife with a tracker so he can get on the ship as well. And, of course, there's a lot of really neat scenes. He gets the bulk of the action, and in this movie. And it was really cool to see. I think his character was done a lot of justice in this movie. I don't think his plot or his character development suffered throughout this movie. I think it was great. But he was really the only character that got character development, which I think hurt the rest of all the characters because they were all just there. And most of the other movies, they all get some cool line or cool chance or cool story that sort of elevates their characters to become more likable or more deserving of their role. And that just really didn't happen with any of the other characters, unfortunately. Christmas is about the only one that gets character development. And so he's going on this revenge path. He's trying to look for the guy that killed Barney. And sort of the plot twist with this whole, oh, someone that used to work with Barney, now he's a criminal. We saw a lot of these themes and elements in the third movie, so to have sort of a similar thing in the fourth, it didn't feel like a copy, but it didn't feel very creative. So that's another thing I think hurt this movie is the plot is extremely similar to the third, or at least the theme of it, of the beginning, you know? And I just think that part, being compared to the third, the fourth wasn't allowed to stand out in this franchise. So that's another thing that hurt it, I think. And so as we draw toward the close, Christmas is getting his revenge on all these people. He's killing just pretty much almost everyone there. And Barney shows up in the end to save his ass in the last second, literally. And, well, it's cool to see. He's alive. It's really cool. And they sort of have this reunion. They were able to finish off the mission. And the story is kind of capped off with this happy ending for everyone, which is cool. But then you're left with this feeling of, if he was going to be in the end of the movie, why fake his death in the first place? Why not have him for the whole movie? I think they really wanted the viewers to be invested in getting revenge for his death, when at the same time I think people were just left annoyed after seeing him die, or as we believe he died. I think there was just an annoyance there. There's an annoyance with one of the originals not being the one to take over. I think there was an annoyance with them all being sidelined. So overall, I think this movie was the weakest of the four. That being said, a lot of people really hated this movie. Watching this movie, I didn't sit through it hating it. I just realized, yes, this is the weakest one. But I don't think there were hateable elements. I think there were just weak elements. And unfortunately, in every franchise, there's going to be one movie that's the weakest. There are franchises that have some good and some bad movies. There are some franchises where they're all bad. There are some franchises where they're all good. This happened to be a franchise where they had 3 good ones, and then the fourth was just okay. I didn't think it was good. I didn't think it was bad. I think it was just okay. It was mid. There's really nothing special, creative about it. It was just another action movie with a great cast, but nothing with them to really work with. So that's how I wrap up this review. I think overall, Jason Statham was the only one with character development. It's the only one with really neat story. He got the bulk of the action. So I think for an Expendables movie, they could have really just done a spin-off with just Jason Statham instead of trying to blend the Expendables into his story. For this one, I think they should have just done spin-off. But regardless, Expendables 4, it was weak. Wasn't bad. Wasn't good. It was weak. That's what it is. I don't know if they're going to make a 5th or not. I think if they do, Sylvester Stallone should definitely be part of the main cast for the whole movie, because that's what people love about these movies is Sylvester Stallone and Jason Statham. Their dynamic duo, their sort of partnership. That's what sort of holds these movies together. And since that wasn't there in this one, I think that's why sort of everything just kind of fell apart. So regardless, we'll see what happens. I know this movie kind of flopped at the box office. Like I said, I don't know if they'll make a 5th. I'll go and check it out. So we'll see what happens. So thank you guys for tuning in. If you want to see a cool action franchise, this franchise is good overall. Yeah, the 4th one wasn't really all that great, but the first 3 are amazing. If you get extremely invested in the first 3, give the 4th a shot. Maybe you'll find certain pieces here and there you'll like. But overall, when the 5th comes around, the 4th can honestly just sort of be skipped. But thank you guys for sticking with me. That's been my review. If you ever get the chance to check out these movies, they have steelbooks, they have standard 4K copies, and they have Blu-ray copies of these movies as well. So you're not stuck with paying for just an expensive version. Thanks again, everyone.